They told me about you. I was like, hey, nice. It sounds like fun. And then when I watched a couple shows, I was like, dang, I wish I could get out and do a little of that, but I don't know if I've got the guts that you do to travel around all the time.
It's the backpacking beer adventure. Let's get hopping.
All right, going to Rights Brewery here very shortly, about an hour north of Seattle. Started hitching down from Bellingham today after seeing my buddy Scott at Fringe. We ended up getting a ride from this beer blogging couple that we'd already met while we were at Josh's place on the farm at Atwood. They were coming to kind of interview him, and just totally coincidentally and randomly, they saw us hitchhiking on the way to Marysville, where we're at now. So they gave us a ride. How perfect is that? I'm on my way to the brewery.
You want to head to the bar then?
Yeah.
You good?
Cruising? Sweet.
Yeah, right up here. Hi guys, how are you? Good. My name is RJ Whitlow, and my wife Christy Whitlow and I, we own Rights Brewing here in Marysville, Washington. We call this our culture of care. My wife was a nurse for 31 years, and this is, healthcare is not what it used to be, so this is how we take care of people. Great beer, great food, and people that care about them, so.
I like that. Well, thanks for inviting us to your space.
I saw your escapades and thought, hey, if I could be part of that, that'd be cool. I wish I could get out a little bit more. I'll live my life vicariously through you a little bit, so.
Yeah, make good beer, make people happy, like you're saying.
Exactly, it builds great community. So when you're doing B-roll, that's page 2 of every nursing textbook, that Florence Nightingale quote. We figure if you take care of nurses, everyone else is gravy, because nurses and EMTs and doctors, that's a pretty broad audience, and they love beer. So it's a good place to start. We're in the old Cars Hardware building. You can see up there, this is one of the original signs. This sign was from the early 40s. This was the storeroom, and this was built in 1964. The portion we were just in, that was built in 1924 by the town blacksmith. In fact, his granddaughter is my landlord right now. So her family ran the hardware store here for 93 years, and it's been a town institution. We're gonna be on the cutting edge of turning this neighborhood into its next chapter and just creating a place where people can live life together. We're brewing on a 4-barrel or 3.5 barrel really for any hop forward beers. Labor intensive system that has worked really well for us, but we just brewed our 100th brew day on it yesterday actually. Marysville's pretty thirsty, thankfully. We've got 2 oversized 10 barrels, we've got a 15, and we've got 2 7s. You'll see on our board, we like a lot of variety. I just come from a background, I started home brewing about 31 years ago. And I always had this dream of someday, if opportunity met preparation, that one day we'd have a place where, you know, we could take care of people and I could go after something that I really love, and that's the process of making beer. And I was always that guy who traveled around the world, and I'd find breweries and brewers whenever I can and just ask questions as much as possible and learn about the process. And 10 years ago, we wrote a business plan, and 6 years ago, July 2nd, we opened to public. And so next week, we're getting ready to celebrate our 6th anniversary. And
congrats on that.
Yeah, thanks. It's pretty exciting. We've had some real twists. If you check out our history, you'll see we've had some pretty bizarre chapters, but we're thankful to be here. And
obviously, you're resilient.
You know, we're horrible quitters. Absolutely horrible quitters. Sometimes, you know, some things I'm not great at. I'm the worst quitter here, probably.
That's a good thing.
Production cooler back here. Feels nice in here today. On average, we go through 25 to 30 of these 50 liters a weekend. We just got all the kegs washed. We get them out. We got 3 tanks ready to land for the anniversary coming up here next week. We'll get these and we'll move them in. The heat, we'll see how that's going to affect us, because Washington's not used to 3 digits, you know, but at least it's beer. So we call this our 2nd Street Community Pavilion. It's a true community gathering place. For a certain amount, people could contribute, and then we give them basically a brick on the wall. You could see what a turnout we had. People really come together when it's something bigger than they are. Just a small snapshot, but a great idea to show you how much, you know, people were willing to step up, because this is their brewery. It's not our brewery, it's the community's brewery. It was humbling to see how much people were willing. There you go. That's your buddy. Yeah, no, they're fantastic. And just watching the girls grow up, and they're a great example of what Five Rights was built for. You know, we have a ton of young families here, people that bring in the grandparents to play cards with, you know, push the stroller down the street from these old neighborhoods. And it's a true community gathering place.
Thanks again for showing us all this.
Oh, of course. No, this is what I do all this for. I don't do it because I like cleaning and doing taxes and accounting. I'm not a big fan, but you got to do all that so you can do this part. I like to make beer, design beer, and talk to people. That's what we're wired for. Taking care of people and just doing it the way we were taught to. We're trying as much as possible to, embrace the bones of the place. We originally were going all stainless, no wood, total like the anti-Pacific Northwest, because we're medical themed. So it's like color, stainless, all that, exactly. Then when we found this place, it's like, no, this place is way too cool. You could just feel that so much life has been lived here over the years. That hardware sign is what people looked at for many, many, many years.
It's kind of cool to know that a lot of this town was built from here.
Yeah.
People buying hammers and nails and wood and everything else, and started right in here.
Yeah, this was the first area of town that was logged. There was mills here in Marysville and then in Everett, some really famous ones. And this is all got some great history. And this downtown area where all these old buildings, we're trying to create this as the core of a destination place. A lot of service industries, and not only breweries, but get some restaurants, maybe wine bars, cocktail bars, things that people can stay in town for. And it's pretty cool to be on the front side of this.
Place where people can drink beer and discuss ideas and just have a good time.
Exactly, and not be judged for it. That's where the grace love beer comes in. Grace is huge. Our faith is huge, but we live our life through, we need grace, we need love, and beer is a good way to start. People talk, between beer and food. Gets people at a table, and conversations start from there, and that's kind of what we're about. All right.
Thank you for pouring all these beers. I actually think you set a hopping record. I see 14 different beers here. So.
Well, I'm happy to help.
I'm happy to try as much as we're willing to pour. So,
silly not to. You made it this far, huh?
Exactly.
You're going to taste beer, so if you tasted less, I'd be a little disappointed.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and start with our Nellie's Nectar. True to style, Bavarian Hefeweizen, a little bit of clove on the bottom, a little bit of banana flavor on the top. We don't ferment it hot enough to get that bubble gummy that you get from some of them, and we don't like banana bombs. I really like a Franziskaner type of Hefeweizen. Fell in love with them years ago when I was traveling and playing on cruise ships to pay my way through college. All the German tourist spots were in Turkey and Greece, and they always had like 12 to 14 different Weiss beers on. So I fell in love with the style, and that one's named after my mother-in-law. That's Nellie. So she calls it her Hefeweizen, but I haven't been able to teach her how to say it right yet. But
it's well balanced. The aroma alone, before I even took a sip, just made me happy. I was like, all right, I'm in for some good praise here.
It's a good start. That's definitely one of our crossover beers. And when people are like, I'm not a beer drinker, but I'll drink this, and I said, well, try this, and a lot of them was like, wow, this is beer? I was like, yeah, this is beer. You're in for a treat if you...
Beer can do this.
Next to the Dave Special, which I think it's that one right there, an English mild. It's our old partner who had passed away unexpectedly. That was his racing number. So we called it Dave Special 442. So we brew it to 4.2% every time. Nice, easy crusher, but you get some, some malt forward notes to it. Some people get a little bit of the nutty. It's not like a nut brown, but
it's there for sure.
But not to the caramel, not to the coffee notes or anything like that. Try to make it just really accessible for people so that it can see that dark beers aren't intimidating. They can be quite flavorful, and it's really an easy drinker. So.
It's light, but it is flavorful. This is an all year rounder for sure.
And we go through a lot of this beer. I was actually quite surprised to see how much English mild a little town in Washington would go through. But heck, if you just put out a good beer and people don't know what it is, they'll figure out what it is later. With our nursing theme, we tried to stay as thematic as possible. So the over-the-counter, that's our everyday, the go-to, the ones that are available, just anytime you need them. We try to have them on all the time. Occasionally, we can't keep up with the limited amount of fermenters we have, but especially with all the different beers that we're trying to produce here. But then we have the other tray, which we'll get to here in a bit. It's our RX, or prescription. Now that's more like of our as needed, or seasonals, rotators. So the releases that we have every year, plus special ones or one-offs, that will go in the RX or prescription. And then we have one other tier, which unfortunately is not featured here today. That's our nurses' orders, and that's when you need a little extra care. Those are our barrel-aged, our aged beers, and so we typically have 4 to 5 releases a year in that category. And it's becoming more now that we have a place that we can actually park some barrels. But as you saw in the brew house, we don't have a ton of room yet, and we can't can't get a forklift inside, so we can't even stack barrels yet. So pallet jacks aren't really good for stacking barrels. So,
Yeah.
but we're working on it. We've got a space out back. We're hoping to expand into.
Keeps it special for now.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a few stouts for you that we have on all the time. An oatmeal stout, it's just really like a chocolate-forward English style oatmeal stout. We use all English malts, Maris Otter, crisp Maris Otter that we really love. Got that great nutty character in the malt itself.
I like it. It's smooth, but the roastiness makes it so it's not too smooth. It's like
Just
kinda
a
perfect.
little presence. After that, we have a coffee version of it. Low astringency. We do a cold brew, so you won't get that scrape your tongue that you get from some coffee beers when it's used on the hot side. But coffee lovers really like it. This is a great camping beer. This is a little of this and some bacon is really all you need, as far as I'm concerned. You know.
Yeah, growler of this, an insulated growler, and
There
some
you
bacon.
go.
Man, that'd be a good
There
one.
you go.
That's really nice, this coffee one. It's one of the better coffee beers I've had.
Well, thank you. That roast comes from Vista Clara Coffee over in Snohomish. Craig, their roaster, he was a pro brewer for many years down in the Ballard area. Craig really understands coffee, how it goes downstream in a beer.
You're
So,
lucky to know Craig.
I'm very lucky to know Craig, and he's a fantastic guy, and he's always willing to try something crazy with me. All right, so that is our drip line chocolate milk stout. It's really like an adult chocolate milkshake. Not super heavy, but it's a lactose beer. So
Yeah, there's a little bitterness in there. It kind of has that like dark chocolate vibe. Yeah, it's tasty. Man, you're crushing it over here.
Marysville's a great place to be. That's our Mingler, House West Coast IPA, Simcoe Amarillo Mosaic driven beer. My heart is very in San Diego. A lot of my mentors are in the San Diego area, so I love dry West Coast IPAs, no crystal malt, good expression of hop character. I grew up loving breweries like Port Brewing Society, Pizza Port, the old Ballast Point stuff. That's what beers like that are inspired by, ones that are full flavor. They're a little bit higher in alcohol. That's a 7%er. It's a 7.1. Let the yeast attenuate where they need to be to articulate right.
This is like a remastered classic. So, like when you watch an old movie you really like, but it's just been like cleaned up.
Yeah,
That's what this beer is. This is great. What do you prescribe next?
Okay, well, the nurse isn't here, but I'll take over for her. Let's go ahead and do this parade party, because we're gonna start moving up some IBUs. This is the Strawberry Fest beer. We brew it like a brute IPA, and we use amylase enzymes in the end of fermentation, just so it goes down to 0 residual sugar, and then we back sweeten with strawberries. Because I don't like a lot of sweet beers. Admittedly, fruit beers, they sell really well. A lot of our people here, and my wife was, hey, you got to make more. People like them, all that. But so I made it the way I like, which is I like it to be a little more crisp and dry. But if you have no sugars left in the first place and it's bone dry, then it's easy to back sweeten without getting too sweet. So that was my goal in that beer, is you get the strawberry flavor and the aroma, but it's not like when you drink strawberry sludge sometimes, or you get that and you go, oh, it's like a dental appointment waiting to happen. I don't like that in my beers typically.
Neither do I. I'm with you.
I'm
Usually
dry
the
with
drier
my
the better.
humor and dry with my beers. So I figured I'd be consistent.
This is great. It just kind of zings you with that little strawberry and then.
Strawberries from Oregon Fruit Company. They come out about June every year. I get on the waiting list to make sure I get them before they're all gone, but they have great quality fruit down in Oregon. We like to have at least one fruited beer on.
I don't think I've ever had a strawberry beer quite like this. The flavor really comes through strong without that sweetness, and this is a special one.
Let's go on to our Juicy Brute there. We brewed this beer 3 years ago. Now it is a staple. 0 residual sugar, and it's hopped Citra, Amarillo, and Mosaic. There's a very little Citra Whirlpool edition. No bittering hops at all, because any hops will show without sugar like that. But so it's about 7.4. Doesn't really drink like that, but it's crisp and clean, and I thought it'd be just a good summer beer. But what I realized is we were selling just as much in November and December. So it's one of those beers that should be over here, but I don't want to move it over there, because if I move it over to the OTC and put it on that side of the board, then people give me more crap if I run out of it.
Oh yeah.
So, and
Where is it?
I already created my own problem. I've got like 12 or 9 or so OTC beers, and that's hard to keep on a small brewery like ours, because we just don't have enough tanks.
Yeah.
So.
What makes it more special like this?
Yeah, but so we just try not to run out of it.
Another delicious one. I like so far every beer has had this aroma, like a great one.
We try to create something you're gonna enjoy all the way through. Why don't you grab the Roberta? That's a Scotch ale. So there's a beer that I tried back in the Midwest that Three Floyds does called Robert the Bruce, and I really love that beer. It's an all Centennial, U.S. Centennial hopped Scotch ale, and it's dry. It's not like, you got the malty characteristics, and you got that richness that envelops your tongue, but it's not cloyingly sweet. It's not syrupy at all like some of them. There's no the smoky character.
Great body on this.
People aren't as seasonal as I would have thought. There's a lot of people that they drink dark beers a year round.
I'll drink a bourbon barrel aged 12% in August.
All right, so let's see what else they poured you here. This is as close to a house hazy as we have.
Pretty good mouthfeel to it, and you get that little citrus bite just to tell you, hey, I'm here.
Yep, and it's a hop. Yeah, and it's hop and not straight juice.
Yeah, so this is the one you do the most of?
Yeah, we sell a ton of Juice Groove. So this one in the middle here, Hazy Hippocrates, Citra, Idaho 7, and Azaka. A lot of pineapple notes from it, and you get some nice tropical, but it's got a little resiny character depending on where you express, if it's in the whirlpool or if it's on the dry hops, but they're a nice flavor combination together. The Idaho 7 I really like a lot. Of course, Citra's is a great staple to balance out a lot of the players that need a little help in the sandbox, so to speak. And, but we brew that one every Father's Day. Hippocrates was the father of modern medicine, so we just staying true to the old theme as well, and so every Father's Day we pull it out. So that is year 3 of Hazy Hippocrates.
Yeah, that is juicy, rich, multiple levels there.
So
lots of different flavors coming through.
I don't like to let the hazies dry out too much unless I really want some of that old bright citrus and a little more bitter citrus to come out, or sweet grapefruit or things like that. And with the hazies, people are usually looking for a little bit more juicy in the first place. And
so you definitely know what you're doing there with these last two.
Oh, thank you.
Before we get to the last one, I don't think you've said on camera, what are the 5 rights?
All right, well, the 5 rights come from the 5 rights of medication administration. Basically quality control so they wouldn't kill people. They would do right patient, right dose, right route, right time, right medication. And then they would do that 3 times. The nurses are the true gateway for the patients. They're the ones who make sure that a lot of the mishaps won't happen.
The unsung heroes sometimes.
Exactly. We wanted a name that would resonate with who we are, that wouldn't just be a kitschy name. The process that you're getting to go through right now of tasting this, it's our job to be the gatekeeper to make sure that we have consistent, reproducible process and great quality. And it doesn't mean as much as trying to keep people alive, but we take it with the same amount of seriousness. The healthcare industry isn't what it used to be, so we figure we take care of you with great beer and great food and people that care about you. So that's what we call our culture of care here.
Heck yeah, you're doing a great job.
All right, so this is our big Welly, Jason Welly. He works at Haas Hops. And he helped us a lot in the early days, especially when we couldn't afford a lot of the hops. He'd hook us up with a lot of the end of runnings thing that his boss were going to throw away. He got his boss basically to donate them to a bunch of us little nano breweries, those 1-barrel guys. And so we got to know Jason and his family over the years, and just really cool guy. And so we started brewing a beer for his birthday, and it's a big West Coast Imperial.
I can smell the West Coast.
Yep. So Simcoe, Amarillo, and Mosaic. It's kind of a tribute to our friend, and it also gave me another name to make an Imperial, because we have at least 1 Imperial on. Sometimes we try to do 2 to 3, depending on what time of year it is. I just love the style. So we have our Imperial coming out next week for our anniversary. It's called the Ville, and it's one we brewed last year for the anniversary. It was a real popular beer, so that will take over for Big Welly. And we try to brew them close enough that we never run out. We always have one good Imperial IPA when people come in, because for some people that's what they'd rather have. They'd rather have 1 13-ounce of an Imperial than having anything else. And I'd happy to oblige.
What they need. The right prescription will solve their problems.
Well, you just say, we've got your remedy. That's pretty much, no matter what ails you, we've got your remedy.
Well, thanks for taking the time to show us all around the place, tell us your story, and share these beers. I mean, these are all fantastic. There wasn't a dud in the bunch. And thanks, Brandon, for suggesting the place.
Brandon and his family, they're part of the core 5 Rights family here, and it just so happens they told me about you. I was like, hey, nice, it sounds like fun. And then when I watched a couple shows, it was like, dang, I wish I could get out and do a little of that, but I don't know if I've got the guts that you do to travel around all the time. And the whole thing about retirement, it's getting a little bit closer. So
This is the epitome of our show, hopping. It's just great beer. You're all about the community, and that's what we want.
This is a passion that is deep with us, and we feel if you're going to do anything, do it with excellence.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thanks for coming to the Ville.
Yeah, to the good times.
trash back